In this podcast episode, Jordan Peterson engages in a thought-provoking conversation with Michael Shellenberger, a journalist and author known for his investigative work on issues such as censorship and government transparency. The discussion revolves around the evolving political landscape in the United States, particularly focusing on the roles of prominent figures like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Robert Kennedy Jr. The conversation also touches on the implications of these changes for democracy, free speech, and the future of governance. The podcast begins with Shellenberger asserting that the last 12 years can be viewed as a woke reign of terror, marked by significant social movements and political events. He highlights the Black Lives Matter movement and the election of Donald Trump as pivotal moments that have shaped the current political climate. The emergence of an elaborate censorship industrial complex, as revealed through the Twitter files, underscores the extent of government involvement in controlling information and suppressing dissenting voices. Shellenberger emphasizes the importance of political engagement, arguing that citizens must shoulder their political obligations to prevent tyrants from seizing power. He expresses optimism about the potential for a new political alignment characterized by a coalition of figures like Trump, Musk, Kennedy, and others who challenge the status quo. This coalition represents a departure from traditional political divisions, suggesting a new form of populism that prioritizes transparency and accountability. A significant portion of the discussion centers on Elon Musk's influence and his efforts to promote transparency within government and social media platforms. Shellenberger notes that Musk's access to Twitter's backend has allowed for unprecedented revelations about censorship practices and the manipulation of information. This transparency is seen as a crucial step toward restoring trust in institutions and empowering citizens to hold their leaders accountable. Musk's approach to governance and technology is framed as a challenge to the established order, with Shellenberger suggesting that his work could uncover vast amounts of waste and fraud within government agencies. The conversation highlights the potential for technological innovation to disrupt traditional power structures and facilitate a more open and honest political discourse. The podcast delves into the broader implications of censorship and the erosion of free speech, particularly in Europe. Shellenberger argues that the current political climate in Europe poses a significant threat to free expression, with increasing government control over social media and public discourse. He contrasts the American commitment to free speech with the more permissive attitudes in Europe, suggesting that the latter may be moving toward a form of totalitarianism. The discussion also touches on the philosophical underpinnings of free speech, emphasizing that it is not merely a hedonistic privilege, but a fundamental aspect of a healthy society. The ability to express dissenting opinions and engage in open dialogue is framed as essential for innovation and progress, with Shellenberger warning against the dangers of suppressing free thought. As the conversation progresses, Shellenberger and Peterson explore the concept of nationalism and its resurgence in contemporary politics. They argue that nationalism, when understood as a celebration of shared identity and values, can serve as a unifying force for citizens. This perspective challenges the elitist view that dismisses nationalism as regressive or oppressive. The discussion highlights the importance of recognizing the unique cultural and historical contexts of nations, advocating for a return to the principles that have sustained Western civilization. Shellenberger emphasizes that the erosion of these principles has led to a crisis of meaning, with many individuals feeling disconnected from their national identities. Towards the end of the podcast, Shellenberger reflects on the future of governance in light of the current political upheaval. He expresses hope that the emerging coalition of leaders will prioritize transparency, accountability, and the protection of individual rights. The conversation suggests that a new era of governance is on the horizon, one that values the contributions of citizens and fosters a sense of community. The podcast concludes with a call to action for individuals to engage in their communities and take responsibility for their roles as citizens. Shellenberger emphasizes that the path forward requires a collective effort to uphold the values that underpin democracy and ensure that future generations inherit a society grounded in freedom and justice.